First, I would like to share the words of Shakyamuni Buddha from the sutra, Mahaparinirvana Sutra. So please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. One should be one's own light and not rely on others. One should make the Dharma as one's own light and do not rely on others. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Nam. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's Nirvana Day and Pep Memorial Service. Actually, the forecast said it's going to snow on Sunday, so I'm recording this video message on Friday. And Nirvana Day is a day Shakyamuni Buddha entered Nirvana. And one day, when Shakyamuni Buddha and his disciples were visiting a village, Shakyamuni Buddha became very ill and was close to dying. Ananda was a cousin of Shakyamuni Buddha, was also really close disciple of him. Ananda was always next to Shakyamuni Buddha, and he did not only listen to all his messages, but it is said that he also memorized them all. And Ananda and all of the Sangha felt Shakyamuni Buddha would never pass away until he taught them the last secret teachings. So Ananda was a little worried when Shakyamuni Buddha became really ill. However, Shakyamuni Buddha said to Ananda, "Why is the Sangha expecting a secret teaching from me? I have always shared the whole and complete Dharma without any secrets. Ananda, there is no hidden meaning or hidden teaching. There is only Dharma, and Dharma is universal truth without any secrets." And Ananda replied, "But what will we have to rely on after you pass away? Who shall we follow after you are gone?" Then the Shakyamuni Buddha said the words that I quoted at the beginning. One should be one's own light and do not rely on others. One should take the Dharma as one's own light and do not rely on the others. And these are really deep words, so let me explain what the Buddha said to Ananda today. And I was born in 1980, and I think we who were born in the 80s are the first generations who grew up with playing TV games like Nintendo and PlayStation. In 1988, when I was in elementary school, a TV game called Dragon Quest III came out. I think it is known as Dragon Warrior 3 in the United States. And it was the biggest hit in Japan, and it was the hit of all the TV video games of all times. It was so popular and in such demand that many people couldn't even buy it. And it was such a great game that some people who were able to get the game pretended to be ill and would be absent from the school, or calling sick from work for a few days just to stay home to play that TV game. So that game was a social phenomenon, and it was also a problem. And unfortunately or fortunately, I couldn't buy that game at that time. But a few years later, I was able to get it and play the Dragon Warrior 3. So yeah, it was a really good game. And for those of you who may not know this game, Dragon Warrior is a role-playing game. In the game, we are able to be the main character that will fight to save the world from an evil dragon. And there are many riddles we have to solve in order to advance in the story. And it was so challenging and fun that made people really addicted to the game. And I still remember the feeling that Dragon Warrior was the best role-playing game I've ever played. And psychologists began to study why this role-playing game became so popular. And one theory was that in people's everyday lives, there was a growing feeling of despair. And it was only a year after the game came out, in 1989, that the bubble of Japan's economy began to burst. Many people were feeling helpless and doubtful about their future. And they were wondering what they would do with their lives. So in a time when people were feeling growing hopelessness with real life, they were able to escape into this great video game. For in the game Dragon Warrior, they could become hopeful heroes who defeat the evil dragons and save the world. In the TV video game, people could role-play and become an ideal person with a power and purpose. But in the end, it was all pretend. For even though we are able to complete the game, save the world, and become a hero, it does not mean we have become heroes in our true lives. But for many people, it was a great escape from reality. If the Buddha were alive, then he would have said, one should live on one's own true life and not depends on the illusion of the fantasy reality of a video game. One should live one's own true life and not depend on the illusion of the fantasy reality of a video game. We should see ourselves in our own true lives and not imagine we are heroes in a video game. And when I think of the words of Shakyamuni Buddha, one should be one's own light and not rely on others. He's encouraging us to see ourselves with our own eyes guided by the wisdom of Buddha. Do you know that many Japanese really like fortune telling? On almost every morning TV show, they will tell people silly things like, oh, if you are blood type AB, I'm sorry, you will have an unlucky day. Or, if you are born in July, you will have a wonderful and great day. How confusing that would be for someone like me, because I'm blood type AB and born in July. I wonder what would happen then. Am I going to have a great day or an unlucky day? How silly such predictions are. Even here in the United States, some people read their daily astrology fortune. Sometimes the astrology fortune will say things like, you will meet your companion for life today. And I don't think meeting someone that important in our daily lives can be predicted in such a way. However, it is easy to rely on the words of others because we can shift the responsibilities to the others. So whatever goes wrong, it's not our fault. Like if the fortune teller says, you will have a bad day today, and if you happen to have a car accident that day, then we can say, oh, that's because of the fortune telling, and not because I was driving too fast. That is why I had a bad day. That is why I had a car accident. To this, the Buddha would said, one should let the Dharma be our light. Let the truth be our light, and not rely on the fantasy or fortune telling. the light the Buddha talked about is the light of reality, light of truth. And the reality of the Dharma is to see that everything in our lives is impermanent and also interdependent. And to realize that we are living with our self-centered ideas. And for us Jodo Shinshu Buddhists, the light is Amida Buddha. The true reality itself took the form as Namo Amida Butsu, and always calling us to wake up. And we are always guided by this light of wisdom of Buddha. And we are making ourselves, who is guided by the light of wisdom of Buddha, as light. We are not relying on the one who is guided by fortune-telling of fantasies. So today, in observing Nirvana Day, let us remember Shakyamuni Buddha's words. One should make the Dharma as one's own light. Make reality one's own light, and do not rely on false realities, fantasies, and fortune-telling. So thank you very much for coming today, or listening today. And in closing, please join me in Gassho. Please put your palms together. One should be one's own light and do not rely on fortune tellers or astrology. One should make the Dharma as one's own light and do not rely on fantasy or false teachings. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda.